on El Martin. What is that? El Martin Loco? What is that? The Marine who brutally mocked and tortured drug lords? Okay, bet. Infographic, sure, we could watch some educational stuff right now.
Muzzle.
Everything should be good. This is him, right? Watch some educational stuff. But yeah, I'm just a lazy person. I don't really know. I guess I just have to like get that drive. You know what I'm saying? I'll watch probably both. Why not? All right, let's check it out. The Marine who brutally mocked and tortured drug lords, El Marino Loco.
Flashes lit up the night as bullets ricocheted off rusted shipping containers in an old Mexican port facility. El Marino Loco crouched low, his silhouette ghost-like in the darkness. His team of Mexican federal agents laid down suppressive fire, pinning the cartel's traffickers behind a barricade of crates loaded with contraband. "He's here!" The words came from somewhere in the shadows. Whispers spread like wildfire among the traffickers, laced with panic. The chief trafficker.
They worded this nigga like he Batman, bro.
His voice trembled as he signaled his men to stop firing. An unnatural silence followed, broken only by the distant crash of waves against the dock. One by one, El Marino's men vanished into the shadows. The trafficker glanced around, his breath shallow and erratic. The stillness was suffocating.
Gotta leave the stream at good night. That is not right. Let me lower the video. Bro, but they talking about
Sweat beaded on his brow. Fear had gripped him. Then everything changed in an instant. A blur of motion from behind. A flash of steel glinting faintly in the moonlight. The crowbar came down hard. The sharp crack of metal meeting bone echoed through the port. The boss staggered, his world spinning violently before crumbling to the ground. Before he could scream, he was swallowed by the darkness. Several months later, in a dingy safe house across town, the traffickers' phones buzzed simultaneously. A photo message lit their screens. Their boss, stripped of dignity, sitting cuffed in garish red lingerie, flanked by grinning federal agents. Another ping. The text bore only 5 words. "You're next, El Marino Loco."
Is this like Daredevil? Is this like a vigilante?
It wasn't just a rumor, it was his signature move.
Real?
This was El Marino Loco, a shadow, a hunter, a legend in Mexico's brutal cartel war. Join us today to hear his story on today's episode of The Infographic Show. It was past midnight when Eric Morales Guevara, better known as El Marino Loco, stalked the streets of Tampico. The faint hum of a helicopter's rotor blades overhead signaled the Navy's presence. Morales moved with precision, his tactical gear blending into the darkness. Tonight's target was Sylvester Haro Rodriguez, alias El Chive, a notorious leader of the Gulf Cartel. Morales' intel suggested that El Chive was holed up in a heavily fortified compound, surrounded by armed guards and a maze of security measures. As the team breached the compound, chaos erupted. Gunfire erupted in the courtyard as El Chive's men scrambled to defend their boss. Morales' voice cut through the guards, barking orders as of security measures. As the team breached the compound, chaos erupted. Gunfire erupted in the courtyard as El Chive's men scrambled to defend their boss. Morales' voice cut through the guards.
Why is this? Oh, because it's going through the mic again. There's nothing I could really do about that. I'm sorry. Wait, I could put on headphones. Let me stop being lazy. Shit, 1 second. Oh, they're right behind the computer too, y'all. Come on, bro. I had to do better. Bro, I don't know. Like, I could grab my fucking camera and stuff right now, my mic and stuff, but I'm just so like lazy. I don't know. Maybe like it's not. Like, I'm not always like this, to be fair, like, you know what I'm saying, but I don't know, bro. I just feel like doing nothing, just like laying down all day. No, but to be fair, I have been going to the gym. Like, it's not like that's why I'm more tired recently. To be fair, I haven't gone to the gym more. But still, it's no excuse, bro. To me, this is more important than the gym. Streaming is more important than the gym to me.
Swept through a series of rooms. Within minutes, El Chive was cornered, a mix of fear and fury etched in his face. But it wasn't the arrest that would make the headlines.
I could grab my fucking camera and stuff.
Chive was cornered, a mix of fear and fury etched in his face.
In the gym, streaming is
Chive was
in the gym scene. Just echo.
swept through a series of rooms. Within minutes, El Chive was cornered. A mix of fear and fury etched in his face. But it wasn't.
Okay, can't be that. I don't think it's bad. I think.
Morales walked into the cartel leader's personal quarters and spotted an urn on the mantle, the ashes of El Chive's late father. With cold, calculated malice, Morales knocked the urn to the ground, Chive's cartel in his face. But it was within minutes, El threw the din in the courtyard as the T-fied compound cartel Mercado Precision Helicopter is episode of Legend in Mexico's brutal cartel war. Join us today to hear his story on today's episode of The Infographic Show. It was past midnight when Eric Morales Guevara, better known as El Marino Loco, stalked the streets of Tampico. The faint hum of a helicopter's rotor blades overhead signaled the Navy's presence. Morales moved with precision, his tactical gear blending into the darkness. Tonight's target was Sylvester Haro Rodriguez, alias El Chive, a notorious leader of the Gulf Cartel. Morales' intel suggested that El Chive was holed up in a heavily fortified compound, surrounded by armed guards and a maze of security measures. As the team breached the compound, chaos erupted. Gunfire erupted in the courtyard as El Chive's men scrambled to defend their boss. Morales' voice cut through the din, barking orders as his team swept through a series of rooms. Within minutes, El Chive was cornered, a mix of fear and fury etched in his face. But it wasn't the arrest that would make the headlines. Morales walked into the cartel leader's personal quarters and spotted an urn on the mantle, the ashes of El Chive's late father. With cold, calculated malice, Morales knocked the urn to the ground, scattering its contents across the floor. He turned to a family photograph from the wall, scrawled a crude drawing of women's clothing over it. The psychological blow
This man is a demon. This man is a demon. Let me see what he looks like. Let me see what he looks like. This man is a demon. Wait, is this him or is this him? Wait, I'm confused. Which one in this picture is him? Is this him? Oh, he kept the mask on the whole time. What is this? A song? Come on, bro. This is a real person, right? Face. He was rarely seen unmasked. Damn, wait. Wait, I don't want to spoil. Wait, I was about to search up. 82. Wait, how old was he when he died? It said he died in like 2014. It was only 30? I thought he was going to be like in his 50s when he died. Died age. Oh. I thought he died. How would you confuse someone who came 50 years later? Whatever. Oh. He could be. I thought I said he died in 2014. Never mind. Damn, this thing is a mystery.
was as deliberate as the raid itself. Word of the humiliation spread quickly. El Chive, enraged, put a price on Morales' head, 3 million pesos. But for El Marino Loco, this was just another night in the war against the cartels. The Mexican drug war of the 2010s was a descent into chaos, a time when entire cities became killing fields and human life was reduced to a grim statistic. In Durango, the horrors of cartel violence were unearthed in the spring of 2011 when authorities discovered mass graves containing the remains of 145 people. These graves were not hidden in the dense wilderness. Remains were unearthed in the spring of 2011 when authorities discovered mass graves containing the remains of 145 people. These graves were not hidden in the dense wilderness, but scattered around the city, a chilling testament to the impunity with which the cartels operated. The victims were men, women, and even children, many of whom bore the signs of torture. Their stories would remain untold, their lives swept away in a war where silence.
Bro, come on, bro. Why'd the narrator make it like this, bro? Wait. Should I try to pronounce it, bro? I'm sorry. Shout out Mexicans or Spanish people. I don't mean to like what's the word? Disrespect you guys or language. Who's up for some tacos con hombre? Did I say it right? Hombre?
Balancing the opposition, whether rival gang members or innocent civilians, had become as routine as the setting sun. This discovery shocked the nation, but it was had become as routine as balancing the opposition, whether rival gang members or innocent civilians, had become as routine as the setting sun. This discovery shocked the nation, but it was just one of many atrocities that defined this blood-stained chapter of Mexico's history. Elsewhere, in the border city of Nuevo Laredo, the drug war was brutally playing out in an unrelenting cycle of violence. In 2012, 23 people were killed in a single 24-hour period. Their bodies left as warnings to anyone who dared challenge the cartels. Some were hanged from the bridges, their corpses displayed like grotesque trophies. These acts were designed to strike fear into the hearts of law enforcement and civilians alike. But Nuevo Laredo was no exception. It was merely another battlefield in a larger war. That same year, the rural town of Ruiz Nayarit witnessed its own bloodbath when a convoy from Los Zetas ambushed and killed 29 members of the rival Sinaloa cartel. The ambush was ruthless and methodical, a demonstration of the cartel's military-style tactics and their capacity to wage a war on an industrial scale. By the end of President Felipe Calderón's term in 2012, the official death toll had reached at least 60,000. Yet these numbers were only a part of the story. Independent estimates put the figure at over 120,000 by 2013, with an additional 27,000 people classified as missing, their fates unknown.
Whoa.
Independent toll had reached at least 60,000. Yet these numbers were only a part of the story. Independent estimates put the figure at over 120,000 by 2013, with an additional 27,000.
That's 147,000
people classified as missing, their fates unknown. Entire communities were torn apart by kidnappings, extortion, and forced disappearances. In towns like Hilotlan de los Dolores, clashes between federal police and cartel groups like Familia Michoacana often left double-digit death tolls, with little distinction made between combatants and bystanders. Families lived in fear of violence erupting at any moment. Children grew up in neighborhoods where murder was a daily occurrence, and corruption eroded trust in the very institutions tasked with protecting them. The war's death toll wasn't just a number, it was a measure of the soul-crushing despair that engulfed the nation under siege. Amid this chaos emerged a shadowy figure, El Marino Loco. His reputation wasn't just built on the drug lords he took down, but on the public humiliations he made them endure. Eric Morales Guevara was born on October 9, 1982, in Reynosa, Tamaulipas. From the moment he opened his eyes, it was clear that life in Tierra Caliente would be a crucible of survival. Cartel violence didn't hide in the shadows. It played out in the open, in broad daylight. Murders, kidnappings, and executions were everyday occurrences. The cartels ruled with absolute control, deciding everything, from the movies shown in the local theaters to which businesses could operate. Morales grew up watching his neighbors, even his family friends, fall victim to cartel violence. His father and mother, however, were determined to shield him from the violence. They instilled in him a strong sense of right and wrong, emphasizing the importance of education and hard work. Morales had been protected by his father, kept safe from the cartel's violence, but everything changed the day a cartel foot soldier got into a fight with his father and killed him. That moment didn't just scar Morales, it shaped the man he would become. Years later, Morales confided in a friend, "I will never forget that day, the day he took my father's life. Since then, I promised that every damn criminal I caught, they would burn in my hands." Driven by this vow, Morales enlisted in the Mexican Navy Marines as soon as he was of age. The training was grueling, but Morales excelled, graduating with distinction. Over time, he climbed.
That's a lot, right? That's a ton. Do you guys get the joke? Like, there's a ton. Like, you know, it's a figure of speech. Like, hey, I got a ton of money. You're like, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck? Was he carrying that? There's no way. Yeah. What the fuck? Wait. Yes, 50,000. You got 50,000 pounds worth of cocaine. What is? Can this fix my free page, bro? What is going on? I'm sorry, distractions, but
climbed the ranks, learning advanced tactical skills and earning a place in the Fuerzas Especiales, or FES, Mexico's elite special forces unit. The FES was a breed apart, tasked with high-risk operations against cartels, terrorists, and other threats to national security. Morales honed his expertise in urban warfare, reconnaissance, and psychological operations. His time in the FES solidified his reputation as a soldier willing to do whatever it took to achieve his mission, a trait that would define his career. Mexico's drug war exploded in 2006 when President Felipe Calderón deployed the military to combat the cartels. What followed was a decade of unprecedented violence. By 2010, Tamaulipas and Nuevo León.
Like other, you know how Britain has like the king, queen. I thought they like had that. I'm not gonna lie, I only recently learned that other places had like presidents. I thought it was the United States like thing, like of the king. Like other place, I don't know what they would have had, but I didn't know that. I thought the United States had a president.
Were among the most dangerous states, with cartel violence spilling into every facet of life. Were among of unprecedented violence. By 2010, Tamaulipas and Nuevo León were among the.
Mexico has states? United Mexican States. Wait. Bro, I thought it was a US only thing. I'm not gonna lie. That too, bro. I know I seem stupid, bro. I'm sorry. Wait. I thought they just had like cities and stuff. That's what I called the Michigan country. Bugging, but what the fuck? Okay, so it's different though. It's not like us though. You know what I'm saying? No one has 50 like us. That's why. Okay, 6 states. But how big is Australia? Bigger. I'm getting sidetracked, but wait. I mean that's pretty close. Yeah, it's only 20%, 30% bigger.
The most dangerous states, with cartel violence spilling into every facet of life. Eric Morales Guevara's journey to becoming El Marino Loco began in an unexpected setting. The officers and captain's casino of the 1st Naval Zone in Tamaulipas. That's where he worked as a dishwasher. At the time, Morales was just a young recruit working to prove himself while enduring the notoriously harsh demands of the Mexican Navy. The days were grueling, the work unremarkable, until the night that changed everything. A visibly intoxicated and belligerent lieutenant stumbled into the kitchen and, for reasons known only to him, targeted Morales with a stream of slurred insults. Morales, ever the professional, tried to defuse the situation, but the lieutenant's temper boiled over. The officer swung a wild punch, and Morales had no choice but to defend himself. With reflexes honed from his military training, Morales grabbed the nearest object, a fork, and lunged at the officer. The attack wasn't fatal, but the wound left the officer screaming in agony, and Morales was dragged away by his stunned peers. The story of the crazy dishwasher who fought back spread like wildfire throughout the naval base, earning Morales a mix of notoriety and grudging respect. When it came time to renew his contract with the Navy, Morales faced an unexpected roadblock. During the mandatory psychological evaluation, he was failed by the attending psychologist, a former friend of the injured lieutenant. The rejection wasn't based on Morales' mental fitness, but on petty retaliation. Rather than wallow in frustration, Morales leaned into the label. Soon, the nickname El Marino Loco was born, at first as a joke, but soon it became a badge of honor. It came to represent his defiance of authority, his unshakable resolve, and his unconventional approach to justice. While the Navy viewed him as eccentric, his peers saw him as a fearless and resourceful fighter.
Bro, am I stupid? Like, if I'm not trying to seem dumb or like seem like I don't know, flight or like, you know, any like YouTuber that like acts dumb or something. I'm dead serious. I didn't know that word. Unusual. Bro, I've heard this word before. Like maybe I'm just tired or something, but something like unusual, unconventional, or odd, and often in a charming way. Okay.
Willing to go to any length to protect himself and his comrades. This reputation.
What's the word opposite of a insult?
Would follow him into the streets of Tamaulipas, where he would take on an even more fearsome identity. On the streets amongst the criminals, Morales was known by another name, Senor Thor. It wasn't his imposing presence or his reputation for brutality that earned him the nickname. It was a reference to his weapon of choice. While most operatives relied on firearms to enforce the law, in one engagement Morales allegedly wielded
This nigga got a band hammer?
a hammer. The legend of Senor Thor solidified itself during operations in Coatzacoalcos, Veracruz, where Morales and his team dismantled a notorious kidnapping ring. Acting on intelligence, they stormed a nondescript house in a quiet neighborhood, searching for suspects linked to a string of abductions. The operation began as expected, tactical, methodical, and disciplined. But chaos erupted when one of the kidnappers bolted from a back room, brandishing a pistol and screaming for his accomplices to fight back. Flashbang grenades detonated in the confined space, filling the house with deafening noise and blinding light. Gunshots rang out, bullets ricocheting off walls as the kidnappers launched a desperate counterattack. In the chaos, Morales made an unusual decision.
Bro, how am I'm sorry I'm pausing so much, but what's the word the people who the kidnappers caught? They kidnapped. What's their name? The hostages.
To legal complications surrounding the use of lethal force in such operations, he holstered his firearm and grabbed his hammer instead. With a roar that cut through the chaos, Morales charged at the gunman, hammer raised high. It arced through the air with crushing momentum, a blur of raw power, before landing squarely on the kidnapper's head. The man crumpled like a felled tree, lifeless before he hit the ground. Stunned by the sight of a hammer-wielding officer in the middle of a gunfight, the remaining kidnappers surrendered with...
Bro, this is like an anime character or something, bro. This is like an anime character
Without
or something, bro. Bro, this thing had to be like mad. This thing had to be like 7 foot or something. He had to be the most intimidating like person ever. Because there's no way. Wouldn't that make you want to like fight back like better? Because like he's far away. You could shoot at him. Bro, this must be like Goku or something.
For the resistance. The operation was a resounding success, and Morales' actions that day cemented his identity as Senor Thor in the underworld's collective consciousness. Among his comrades, he was celebrated for his courage and resourcefulness, while among criminals, he became the subject of hushed whispers and fearful glances. To them, the hammer wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol of Morales' unpredictable and relentless approach to justice. In Reynosa, Tamaulipas, the legend only grew as Morales used the hammer in another operation, this time smashing through a reinforced door to rescue hostages. With every single swing of his hammer, Senor Thor delivered a brutal reminder to his enemies. Justice, in his hands, was swift and unforgiving. Inspired by the stories of other anti-cartel figures like Miguel Ángel Feliz Garado or El Padrino, Morales adopted a psychological approach. His goal wasn't just to dismantle cartel operations, but to break their aura of invincibility. In the city of Tampico, whispers of El Marino Loco's methods were enough to terrify even the most hardened of criminals. One such tale involved a cartel operative known as El Mimido. Morales had tracked the man to a lavish estate hidden in the hills. The raid was swift and brutal, with Morales' team of Marines dismantling the cartel's defenses like clockwork. El Mimido was captured along with several of his hitmen, but instead of the usual protocol, Morales had something different in mind. Using a collection of women's clothing found in the estate, he dressed El Mimido in a revealing dress, complete with makeup smeared hastily across his face.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, bro. You would have to kill me, bro. You would just have to kill me, bro. Same thing. If anyone ever like tells me to do something crazy to like for them, then I say they have a gun in my head, right? I was about to say suck their dick, but I'm not gonna do that for even my life. Maybe. I don't think so. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, say I have to twerk, and they won't shoot me, right? I'll do it. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm being serious. Unless they're recording. Well, actually, I mean, twerking ain't that bad. I don't know. What's the negative thing I could do? Would I drink piss to live? That's a big question. I think in the moment I probably would. I probably would in the moment, to be honest. Right now I'm going to say no, but in the moment I probably would. So hypothetically, if I say yes, right? If they say, like, if they start pulling out a phone or something, I'm acting like I was serious the whole time, and I'm just going to let them kill me. Because I'm not having nothing on record. I'm not having them record none of that, bro. And, like, I would rather, like, say this situation, bro, and, like, I'm captured by, like, some dude, and he wants to, like, put me in makeup and shit, bro. Just kill me at that point, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, what am I supposed to do, bro? Like, you just embarrass me before I go. I mean, this probably deserved it, bro. He's, like, probably a bad person, though. So.
Hitmen were subjected to the same treatment. Then came the ultimate indignity. Morales forced them to kill.
Yeah. Kill me.
each other while his team captured the moment on video. The footage, leaked on social media, sent shockwaves through the cartel's ranks. El Manido's reputation was shattered, and his humiliation became a cautionary tale. For Morales, it was another victory in his unorthodox war against the cartels. Morales had joined the Mexican Navy at a young age, drawn by a sense of duty and a desire to protect his homeland. But the reality of the drug war was far more complex. The lines between law enforcement and criminality often blurred, with corruption infiltrating even the highest ranks. Morales, however, was different. He believed in justice, but understood that traditional methods were ineffective against the cartels that thrived on fear and brutality. By 2012, Morales' exploits had become the stuff of legend, amplified by the rise of social media. Videos of his operations spread like wildfire. The American media channels chronicled his actions, painting him as both a hero and a rogue operator. One viral clip showed Morales' team intercepting a convoy of cartel vehicles. The operation was textbook, precise, efficient, and brutal, but it was the aftermath that captured attention.
Come on, bro.
Fear. This is what happens when you mess with El Marino Loco. El Marino Loco's methods sparked fierce debate across Mexico. To some, he was a hero, a man who
What? Who put bully? What?
struck fear
You doing that to, like, only
into the
cartel members? Like, they kill kids and
cartels
stuff?
and brought hope to a desperate nation. His knack for dismantling criminal networks and humiliating cartel leaders turned him into a legend among citizens longing for justice. But his unorthodox tactics also drew sharp criticism. Human rights groups accused him of crossing ethical lines, and his actions raised questions about the legality of his operations. Was he a necessary evil in an unwinnable war, or did his methods undermine the very justice he sought to uphold? Even today, opinions remain deeply
Bro, it's not
divided.
like he, like,
with
you know, like, I'm saying, like, from what I know, it's not like he put a dookie up their ass, where he's just making them do very embarrassing stuff. That's really not that serious.
some viewing him as a symbol of resistance and others a rogue vigilante. The cartels were less forgiving. Morales became a marked man, his name appearing on narco mantas, banners used by cartels to issue threats. Death threats multiplied, and each operation became a gamble with ever higher stakes. For El Marino Loco, many of his feuds endured years beyond their initial encounter. His feud with El Chive dragged on for years, fueled by the drug lord's seething rage over Guevara's
They get knocked over this fucking dad's ashes. That's insane. I was at his fucked up, like, this dude is probably evil as fuck, so.
defacement of his father's portrait and the desecration of his ashes. El Chive's retaliation came swiftly. A public narcomanta banner appeared dangling from a pedestrian bridge in Tampico. Its words dripped with venom and challenge. "This is for you, Eric Morales. Dog, I know where you live, but I want you, not your family. I am not a pig like you." The cartel boss accused Morales of stealing bribes, claiming that he had taken over 310,000 pounds during a raid. The banner was signed by the Gulf Cartel's Tampico branch and included a dire warning. If authorities continue their operations in the region, the cartel would turn the city into a battlefield. For Morales, the challenge was personal now, a high-stakes game of cat and mouse where every move was scrutinized by allies and enemies alike. As the months passed, Morales focused on dismantling El Chive's operations in Tamaulipas. His raids became relentless, striking at safe houses, warehouses, and supply routes. But El Chive remained elusive. The drug lord, a cunning and resourceful leader, always seemed one step ahead. The frustration mounted, but Morales pressed on, driven by a sense of justice and the knowledge that his very presence kept the cartel off
Bro, I should
balance.
make a movie about
Yet
this.
fate
This is a true
intervened in a
story.
way that
Movie about
denied
this.
Morales a final victory. In August, just as Morales had been reassigned to southern Mexico, El Chive was arrested, not by Senor Thor, but by state police. The arrest came during an ill-timed hospital visit to one of his injured lieutenants. Desperate, El Chive attempted to bribe his way out of custody, offering 3 vehicles to the arresting officers. The bribe failed, and the once feared Gulf Cartel boss was transferred to Mexico City. The capture of El Chive marked a symbolic end to the feud, but it was an unsatisfying conclusion for Morales. The man who had taunted him, who had turned their battle into a public spectacle, had been brought down not by the hammer of justice, but by a twist of circumstance. Yet, even in this bittersweet outcome, Morales found solace. His relentless pursuit had forced El Chive into hiding, destabilizing his operations and hastening the downfall of the Gulf Cartel in Tamaulipas. For all his success, Morales knew that justice was never clean or complete. The Gulf Cartel, a once dominant force, had been crippled but not destroyed. But its roots ran deep, fed by decades of smuggling, extortion, and bloodshed. Its shadow lingered, entwined with the rise of the brutal offshoot Los Zetas. From his new post in southern Mexico, Morales watched the news of Alchive's capture, the weight of unfinished business pressing heavily on his mind. By 2018, Morales disappeared from public view. Some believe he was killed, while others speculate he had gone underground. Despite his disappearance, reports of Morales'
If he was killed, we would probably have known, though.
anti-cartel group operating in the shadows to continue his mission. In the streets of Tamaulipas and beyond, Morales' name still lingers, whispered in both fear and admiration. To some, he is a symbol of resistance against the cartels, a warrior who wielded justice with a hammer and refused to bow to corruption.
He's only like 43 right now? Well, no, 44, like, I don't know his birthday, but I'm pretty sure, well, no, like, he'd be 43 right now, right? Because it's 2026, and it's been 44 years since 1982. He was born in 1982, but he was born, like, you know what I'm saying, like, a month. I don't think it was January, so it hasn't been his birthday yet, so he should be 43.
To others, he's a thorn in the side of a system that remains broken, a reminder that even the most relentless champions cannot fight alone. Today, many still clamor for the return of El Marino Loco. They remember the man who stood against the cartels, who humiliated the drug lords, and who, despite the odds, refused to let fear dictate his actions. His story stands as a testament to the complexity of justice in a land where the line between hero and outlaw is often blurred. It serves as a sobering reminder that even the most extraordinary individuals cannot bring closure to a war that refuses to end. What do you think of El Marino Loco's story? Was he a hero, an outlaw, or something in between? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now go check out the undercover agent who spent 24 months in a Mexican cartel.
This is how you'll be treated in hell. No. Be though. Hopefully. Please, Lord. Please, Lord. Undercover agent who spent 24 months in a Mexican. Why don't you just say 2 years? But yeah. In Mexico. Wait, that's actually, I want to watch this video next. Actually, I'm gonna watch this video tomorrow at least.